Hello everyone, and this is a quick video about the English grammar. Let's discuss some typical mistakes which you guys, maybe not you personally, but most English learners make when using different verb tenses. You probably know that the verb tenses in English, it's a tricky thing, yes, and we have a lot of questions, there are a lot of rules, and we try to explain them to you in a practical way, but still when you start speaking, sometimes these rules just, run away. And let's look at some very typical situations, and hopefully next time you will be saying something like that, you will remember me and this video and you will say it correctly, and it will be a big win, right? Let's have a look. For example, a very typical sentence, people like to start their sentences with yesterday when talking about the past, yes, when talking about something finished. But I often hear, yesterday I have watched a good film, for example. Taking just simple examples. Yesterday and I have don't live together in the same sentence. And this is very important to remember. It doesn't matter if you start with the time in the beginning of the sentence or you use it in the end. You always need to remember that yesterday, we call it the defined time. Defined time. And in this case, have, the form with have, present perfect, they don't describe actions in the defined time. You can say, I have watched a good film without yesterday, without defining the time, just, okay, look, I have watched a very good film, okay, I will tell you about it. You are telling me about the completed action, about something relevant to the present without the date. But if you want to use that yesterday in the beginning of the sentence, you erase that have and you just need a simple past, because this is what they do, okay? I have no time in the past. I did, you can say when. When, here is the key word. That's why you can only say it like that. Yesterday I watched a good film. Though it will be more natural to say I watched a good film yesterday, to put it at the end of the sentence, but it's up to you because you choose this emotional intensity of your speaking, right? The next typical problem. I have asked him and he said, for example, you are describing several actions in the past, and if you have a line of events, again, present perfect can't be used here. The form with have, the present perfect, can only be one action in the sentence referring to the present, because present perfect connects the actions together. So the past, some completed action, with the present. I have asked him. Have you asked him, for example, I am more interested in the completeness of this action. I am more interested in the result. Have you asked him? But when you have a line of events and you tell them in the direct order, first I did that, secondly I did that, and so on and so on, you will be using just past simples. Again, I will erase this have and you will say I asked him and he said. The line of events, you can Google it if you don't remember that. And we don't like to use present perfects in complex sentences. Present perfect is not connected to other actions because it is connected to the moment of time. Have you asked him? Yes, I have. What did he say? You switch to the details and you start using past simple instead. He said that the meeting would be postponed. You have the connections between the actions and you will be using past simple from now on in this story. I hope it makes sense, and let's go on. I am doing it the first time. This is a very typical structure. You want to say about your experience of doing something for the first time, right? And none of the present tenses, except for present perfect, will work here. Every time when you are describing your experiences, you need to use present perfect, because present continuous can only, present continuous, yes, I am doing, it can only describe what you are doing right now without the connection to any previous experience. I can say I am speaking right now. I can say you are listening to me right now. But if you start telling about your experience with listening or watching my videos, you will say that's the first time I've been listening to you. Because right now you are connecting, as I said before, you're connecting your previous experience with the moment right now. Whereas present continuous is only describing the moment right now without any prior experience. That's why here in particular I will have to change the whole structure. If you are talking about the first, second, third, doesn't matter, time of doing something, about your experience, you will say it like this. This is the first time I've been doing it. Okay, here it's just a set expression. Remember it as a set expression. This is the first time, this is the second time, this is the third time. And then you use present perfect continuous if it's unfinished action. This is the first time I've been watching your video, because you are telling me about the experience of yours. I hope it makes sense, and please look it up, because this is really where many English learners get lost and make mistakes. And the next one, we have I'm apologizing. It will not happen again. Imagine that you have done something and you're talking to somebody and you want to say sorry, you want to apologize. And in this case, you need to remember that this verb apologize, which describes what you are doing. Yeah, I mean, when you say I apologize, you are actually apologizing. These are called performative verbs in English. And these verbs are never used in present continuous in the first person. You just need to remember that. You always say I apologize, and you can't change it. It only works for the first person. It only works for I. Because when you are doing that, naming that, you don't describe the action, from the distance. You are actually doing it by saying it. I hope it makes sense. Yeah, when you say it, you actually do that. Because when I'm saying something, I am doing something else with my mouth, right? It's just a signal. I am saying, I'm making the movement and I'm describing it. But when I am apologizing, this is the only thing I do. I am making this speech action. That's why the verbs like I promise, I agree, I apologize, in the first person, you will always use them like that. In other persons, you can change that. For example, he was apologizing. It's possible to say, but about I, it's not. So again, if you want to go deeper with that, Google the performative verbs in English and just have a look. It's not that much, it's not difficult, but you need to know that it's advanced grammar. And the last one for today's video, again, we will come back to this difference between present perfect and past simple, because people often make mistakes there, right? When you say, when have you found out? It's wrong. Again, because, as I told you in the first sentence, when is asking about the defined time. That's why the word when is the strongest marker for the past simple in simple sentences, right? Because he is actually asking for the defined time. When did you do that? And in this case, you can never use when with have in such a combination. That's why I will have to change this sentence into when did you find. Yeah, I will change it into the first form. When did you find out? When did you learn about that? When did you find out? That's why you need to remember that. As a grammar collocation, you always will be saying when did, when was, when were. When have shouldn't sound right to you. You need to feel it that when have in a question will be the wrong combination, the wrong collocation. If you remember it like that, you will not have to go over all the grammar rules in your head. You will have these phrases, set phrases, which you will be using again and again and again in your speaking. I hope it makes sense. And if you like this video, please give us a thumb up. And I would like to remind you, if you don't know yet, that we have advanced grammar lessons online every Thursday here on this channel. That's why make sure that you are subscribed to the notifications from this channel to get a notice, okay? To get a notification when we go live and I continue telling you about the advanced English grammar. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Hello guys, and welcome to a new grammar video. I often emphasize that grammar is a way to structure your thoughts and to say something in a simple way so that people understand what you want to say. And that's why I always call it conversational grammar. And today I will be talking about one very important point of conversational grammar because I hear a lot of mistakes. It seems simple, but people keep using the wrong words. Let's fix that for you and let's learn the difference between adjectives and adverbs. You use these words to characterize different things in your sentence. Adjective, an adjective, it is usually some quality describing a noun. When do you want to say a sunny weather, an English teacher, a foreign country, you are using adjectives, yeah? Sunny, foreign, and so on. They are usually placed before the nouns, and this is very important because in French we mostly use adjectives after the nouns, and this will be a mistake. In English, they will always go in front of the noun. Adverbs, they mostly characterize verbs. You see, yeah, we have this root here showing that it is some addition to the verb. And we have many types of adverbs. For example, the adverbs can characterize the action. So he smiles happily. He smiles how? Yes, his smile is happy. So he smiles happily. We have adverbs of frequency when you say, I usually go to bed at 11 o'clock, and so on and so on. Adverbs can also characterize adjectives when you have the combination. She's absolutely brilliant. You have brilliant as an adjective without a noun, yeah? It can be used as a single word. But you add absolutely a characterizing adverb in front of your adjectives. And you can also use adverbs in front of other adverbs. For example, when you're saying she sings beautifully, or she sings absolutely beautifully. So see what's going on here. She sings, it's a verb. She sings how? The characteristics of this action. She sings beautifully, and then you want to characterize this beautifully. Beautifully how? She sings absolutely. beautifully. This is what you need to remember, and they rarely mix up. So you say adjectives, you use adjectives either as single words or characterizing nouns being placed before the noun beautiful weather, beautiful singing. And adverbs characterize actions, verbs, to do something, how, in which manner. Or they characterize adjectives or other adverbs. And if you remember this single rule, it all seems simple. What's the problem here? Yeah, so you add adverbs to the verbs and so on and so on. Well, this structure becomes a problem here because normally you form adverbs with the help of li, and usually from adjectives. So you have beautiful, beautifully. You have easy, easily, and so on and so on. And usually, it's not a problem in many languages. Usually, for example, yeah? But there are some irregular forms of adverbs, and you need to remember them because they will be used in an unusual way, because they are exceptions. First of all, not all the words ending with li are adverbs. For example, words like friendly, deadly, costly, likely, lively, lonely, lovely, and silly, they all have this li here, but they are not adverbs. They are adjectives. This means they will be used only with nouns. You can say you have a friendly smile. He is a very friendly person. But you can't say he smiles friendly. No, it's not possible. The same here. I don't know, this is very costly. Yeah, this is a very costly purchase. But you can't say to pay costly. No. What you need to remember about this group, that they don't form adverbs at all. You will need a phrase to use them as an adverb. For example, she smiles in a friendly way. Well, way shows the manner. That's why it's typical to use these words in the phrase with way. She smiles in a friendly way. They talk in a lively way. Yeah, so energetically. And so on and so on. He smiles in a silly way. You can say he has a silly smile as a noun, yeah? But he smiles in a silly way. Okay? That's why remember that these words, though they finish with li, they are adjectives which don't form adverbs at all. But similarly looking words like daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, early, leisurely. Okay, some people say leisurely in American accent, but it's leisurely in British English. These words have li, but they can be both adjectives and adverbs. So you can say, we have daily lessons, or I study daily. Study how? Daily. It's used as an adverb. We have daily lessons, which daily adjective, yeah? We can say, I don't know, I go there weekly. I go, yes, you characterize the verb. Or we have weekly meetings, and so on. You can say, it's an early meeting. You can say, you came very early. Yeah, how? So this group is different from this group because it's not just an adjective, but it is also an adverb having the same li. And the third group of words, they have their own trick. They can be both adjectives and adverbs, but they don't change the form. For example, when you want to say, it's a fast road, but he drives fast. This word doesn't change at all. And the word fastly doesn't exist in English. So this is the modal when the word changes the part of speech from adjective to adverb by inversion. Inversion, it is when you don't make physical changes. Yeah, fast. And you need to be careful, because if you say fastly, well, people will probably understand what you mean, because fastly doesn't exist, but they will understand your logic. But in the case of the word hard, for example, hardly is actually a different word. So, and they are opposite in meaning. So if you say hardly, meaning hard, it will be a big mistake, because hardly means almost never. I hardly travel these days. So it means I very, very rarely travel. I don't travel a lot. But when you say I work hard, I work how, it's an adverb, right? It means you work a lot. So if you say I hardly work, you don't work. If you say you work hard, it means you work much. You say it's a hard job and he works very hard. No change. The same fine, yeah? So it's a fine deal. You look fine as an adjective, but you did it fine, for example, yeah? That's the action. How? That's the action. Sure. Right. This is very funny, just, because just as an adjective means decent. He's a just person. He doesn't lie, he's honest, positive characteristic. But just, if you remember, as an adverb, it's used for the action which just finished, yeah? So I have just written a letter, for example, yeah? I have just finished this book. Basically, they have different meanings, but they still have this pair, yeah? Just can be an adjective and it can be an adverb. But words like high, short, late, and hard, they have this leaf form, but absolutely different meaning. High, you understand, yeah? It's a high building, for example. Yeah, it's a high road. High, birds flying high. You remember this song, right? So flying how? High. But highly means very positively, in a very, very positive way. So, for example, he speaks highly of you. It means he respects you very much. So you see, there is no correlation between this physical word high, or to fly high, and highly as the sign of respect. Yes? The same with late. So it's a late meeting, or I need to work late this week. Yeah? Here it's an adjective, here it's an adverb, but lately means recently. Means in the last, I don't know, several days, several weeks, some short period of time up to now. And we use it with present perfect, by the way. Yes, I have been reading a lot lately. Again, this is about some time, which is at the end of the day. But here, it's about a period of time up to now. Two different meanings, don't mix them up. And the last word like that, so we say short, okay? For example, it's a short poem, it's a short story, or you can say cut it short, yeah, cut it into short pieces. But shortly will mean very soon. So I will be with you shortly means I will be with you soon. I think it's good to remember that, yeah, because they are all very popular words used in everyday speaking a lot. And if you mix them up, it could create some funny effect. But it's not so much to remember. And if you practice, if you notice, if you look for the examples, I am sure you will remember that easily. So the general rule is, if you want to form an adverb to describe some action, you will add "ly" to the adjective. For example, easy, easily, how, yeah? But there are 3 groups of exceptions. The first group is adjectives ending in li, which don't form adverbs at all, and you need to use the phrase in a friendly way, for example. Adjectives and adverbs which don't change the form and have li in both forms. We have daily lessons or we study daily. It's the same word, but it can be both. And again, the words that can be both, but they don't use li at all. You just have fast as an adjective and fast as an adverb. You use the same word. And it's good to remember these words because for some words you have similarly looking words with li which actually have absolutely different meanings, like high, highly, late, lately, hard, hardly, and short, shortly. Please practice that, and I hope that you have found this lesson useful. If you like it, please like it, leave a comment, ask any question you have, and please share it with your friends. Thank you very much. Hi guys. Today I would like to talk to you about the most typical punctuation mistakes in business writing. Yes, I know that people right now choose to ignore punctuation rules in informal communication, in messengers, in Facebook posts. Well, I'm not a grammar Nazi, but sometimes it's really hard for me to read even what native speakers write, and in all languages, in Russian too. Well, yeah, it's the people's choice, it's a quick communication, only a couple of people are involved, and probably, yeah, if it's a trend, we can't do anything with that. As a teacher, I would like people to use the correct punctuation all the time. Well, it doesn't look that it will happen soon. But if we talk about the business writing, I really believe that punctuation can ruin your reputation. I'm not talking about this funny situations when you miss a comma and this sentence changes its meaning. You can know about such situations in my new course about punctuation on the Skillshare platform. Please follow the link in the description, do the course and learn all the punctuation rules, which will be very important for your business communication. But right now, let's talk about some small things which people don't notice, but they are very important because you want to make a good impression. You want people to respect you, and you will be surprised, punctuation can ruin that for you. Let's work with these small mistakes. The first thing, really killing me, when you have different functional sentences, yeah, with exclamatory marks, with full stops, or with questions. It usually happens with questions, yeah? Where are you, for example? And people of young generations often put a break here, so they make a pause here. So don't forget that punctuation is actually the emotion of your writing, and that's why it looks like a hole to me, really. You don't need to do that. The punctuation mark goes without any space right after the word which it defines. That's why don't put spaces there, guys. Maybe it looks beautiful, I don't know, I keep asking people questions about that, but they are like, I don't know, I just do that, everybody does that. It's a mistake. It's still a mistake. No space after the last word, put it right away, okay? The next thing is the absence of space, and really, honestly, I don't understand your choices, guys. When you start a new sentence, you need a break, you need a pause. So this is not like some stupid grammarian said to you to make a space there. Space means a pause. If you start a new sentence, this is our supporter, he is from. This is our supporter, he is from. I need to breathe here. Your writing needs to breathe the same way. That's why when you start a new sentence, yes, you finish the previous one, you make a space here. Why don't you? I hope you don't, but many people do, and this is really disappointing. So we always have a space between the sentences. This is very important. Okay, the next one. When we have, I don't know, emails, Skype calls, and so on, in social communication, people lately have started doing this. They put a lot of brackets at the end of the phrase. And this is honestly confusing because, for example, if you put an emoji in some informal dialogue, yeah, with some of your friends, with your family, at least I understand what it means. Well, I am not a professional in the emojis, but this is a smile from what I understand, yeah? This means blinking, yes, or hinting something and so on. What does this mean? I have no idea. And I sometimes see that people put 15 brackets, 20 brackets. Like, are you laughing at me? Do you think something bad about me? Or are you smiling? What are you doing with the help of this? So this is really not functional. So that's why, in general, we talk about emojis only in very informal communication. So if it's a business letter, if it's a business communication, of course, you just put a full stop there. If you want to express some emotion, yeah, add some face, but with the clear message. Because brackets, they don't mean anything, okay? Then, a very typical mistake for learners, because I do understand that English has tricky rules. And for example, in English we always write languages, nations and countries with the capital letter. But I learn other languages. I understand that in other languages you don't do that, but please don't forget about that, because you are trying to show that you are fluent in English, and something like that, writing the language with the small letter, can actually ruin that impression. Yeah? That's why we say English, we write Spanish always with the capital letter. And I see it from the native speakers a lot, when you remember that I should be always, yes, should be always a capital letter. But people, yeah, I mean, they type on their phones very, very fast and they ignore that. Well, yes, the problem here is that, okay, you can do that in Facebook. Although your boss could be reading your Facebook, don't forget about this opportunity. But, okay, if you only do that in Messenger, you will get used to that. It will become a habit, and there is a risk that when you are writing an official paper, yeah, an official document, I don't know, whatever you need to read, you will just do it without thinking, because it has become your habit. I is always a big letter. It's never a small one. So these are simple rules. These are simple things to do, but just fix it, because people started doing that too much and it doesn't look good. So one more time, a quick recap. First of all, we don't use the space, okay, between the last word of the sentence and the punctuation mark. Just put it without any space. But when you start a new sentence, it's very important to use this space, not to miss it, because now people start sentences without any spaces. Okay, then don't use brackets after your phrase. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Then always write languages, nations and countries, days of week and days of months with the big letter, as well as the pronoun I, which is always one big capital letter. And for God's sake, guys, it's not so much. In German, you have to write all the nouns with the capital letter. This is more work. Here in English, it's only I, languages, nations, countries, days of week and days of month. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope it helps. So how to agree with the person, how to say that something is the same for you. Okay, so when you want to agree with some statement and you want to show the similarity of your opinion, for example, you can use two types of phrases. First, you can say me too. Okay, if you want to react to a positive statement, like I like chocolate. Me too. I am from Brazil. Me too. Very simple. But if you react to a negative statement, you need to use me neither instead of me too. So I don't like chocolate. Me neither. I don't like this film. Me neither. Okay? So there is a more formal way to agree with different opinions and different statements. You can use a mirroring, so neither structures. What do I mean? So to react at someone's phrase, to react to a positive statement, you use so plus auxiliary from your sentence plus the subject pronoun. So instead of direct order, when you say subject pronoun plus an auxiliary, you mirror the structure of the main sentence. So for example, I say, I like chocolate, and somebody reacts, so do I. Yeah? So it's a reflection. It's the opposite structure. You agree with positive statements using so. And you agree with negative statements using neither. For example, if somebody says, I don't like chocolate, you will say, neither do I. Again, the mirroring structure, but you use neither instead of so. Okay? I will give you more examples. For example, I am a student, so am I. I don't have a job, neither do I. Okay? So now you try. For example, I like flowers. So do I. I am not from Brazil. Neither am I. So note the change of an auxiliary depending on the sentence verb tense. So you repeat the verb tense auxiliary which was used in the sentence. If the sentence said I am, you react with am I. If the sentence says I like, you react with auxiliary for the simple tense, do I. For example, if I say I have finished my homework, you will say so have I. Yeah, because you used perfect. For example, if you say I will take a holiday next month, how will you react? Right, so will I. Okay? And the same principle works for negatives. I haven't done my homework. The reaction is neither have I. Okay? So, for example, I wasn't at the theater last month. Neither was I. Okay? So, please remember the main principle that your answers can be different depending on if you react to the positive sentence or if you react to the negative sentence. So, to agree with the positive sentence, you can say me too, or so, auxiliary, subject pronoun, so do I, for example. And to agree with the negative sentence, you will say me neither, or again the mirroring construction with neither auxiliary subject pronoun. For example, neither do I. Hello. Let's talk about how dependent prepositions used after verbs can spoil our life. Us, English learners, yeah? In many cases, English learners feel confused about prepositions, and I am sure you have had your doubts too. And we have the whole course about dependent prepositions on the Skillshare platform. And if throughout the video, if you feel that this is exactly what you are struggling with, please follow the link in the description and join the course on Skillshare. You will get 2 months of free access to the platform. You will be able to work with the course, and you can find all other courses there too. And let's talk a little bit about this. Dependent prepositions. I have some sentences which are typically said by English learners, and it's not always right what they are saying. We must discuss about your plans. Very typical, especially if your native language is one of the Slavic ones. I think there is a high chance you could be making this mistake. In English, the verb discuss never uses a preposition after itself. So the correct sentence will be, we must discuss your plans. But people keep adding this about after this discuss again and again and again, driving English teachers crazy, really. So it's very important not just to learn which prepositions to use after which verbs. What's more important to learn is after which verbs you don't use this preposition. And again, it's very important to compare how you would normally say this phrase in your own language. Maybe this is the reason for this mistake. And that's why translating from your own language doesn't work. Yes, you will be making this mistake again and again and again. So look at this sentence, translate it into your own language, translate it back to English if necessary. Remember this verb discuss and learn it as a pattern. Discuss something, okay? Discuss something with somebody, for example, yeah? And remember this correct sentence, we must discuss your plans. The next one. She doesn't want to depend on her parents. So the verb depend here means financially. And, can you spot the mistake here? It is also a very typical one because a lot of people I know say depend off, whereas in English it is a different dependent preposition after the verb depend. So we always say depend on something, depend on somebody. And in this case, she doesn't want to depend on her parents. Again, compare it with your native language. Is there a risk of you making this mistake? The next one. What time do we arrive to Cardiff? Okay? What is wrong here? Take a sec, think about it. Well, everything seems normal, right? What time, okay, do we arrive to? So usually we use to as a preposition of direction after the verbs of movement. We say go to, come to, arrive, not arrive, okay? Yeah? This is the trick of it. Arrive is not a typical verb of movement. It uses other prepositions after itself. If you are talking about arriving in a city or in a country, you need to say in. What time do we arrive in Cardiff? And this doesn't make any sense because with all other verbs of movement, you will be using the preposition to. And what's more confusing, I emphasize that, city or country. What time do we arrive in England? Well, we don't normally say it, but okay. If you are saying a different place, not the city, not the town, but for example, office, okay, the office, you will say at. What time do we arrive at the office? This is this tricky verb arrive. And again, you need to know that because no translation, your own language will never help you here. Yeah, these are small tricks of English, so to say. Good. Another one. I knew about that he had problems. We sometimes remember that we need to use some preposition, yes, after some verb. So I knew about something. But then you go on and add the whole sentence after it. But this is not how we normally do that. Okay? So if you have a preposition, you can't use that after it. It's just not possible. And you have a new sentence which you need to connect with this phrase in the first sentence. Okay? How you are doing that? You remember, I hope so, after my course and after my videos about verb patterns, you probably remember that you are supposed to use a verb in a gerund form after prepositions. If you don't, again, go to the Skillshare platform and watch that course. It's available for subscription and it will be the same 2 months of free access, which you get when you follow the link. Here, I knew about, we have the verb have, I'm putting it into a gerund form, okay, about having, but I have lost this person, yeah, because it's not me who was having problem, it was him who was having problems. So I will add it into the pattern as an object because it's used after the preposition. And to get the sentence, I knew about him having problems. This is how you connect a new idea with the preposition. We could say that, yeah, this is some kind of the verb patterns. This is how they work. But yes, differently from just adding new verbs after verbs, yeah? You sometimes need to make these little grammar transformations if you have a preposition here. And this is also very important to remember. You always use the in form after prepositions. I'm thinking of moving to Rome, and so on and so on. Yes, you can't convince me of accepting this job, for example. Yeah, always after the preposition you add the second verb in gerund form. Good. And the last one, probably the most confusing. Yeah, so in many languages we say it like that, and when you translate it into English, you also try to say it like that. You say, to where shall I send it? Yeah, showing the direction, prepositional direction. Shall I send it? I don't know, some parcel. You will hear this question typically in a shop, yeah? For example, you have bought something, you are ordering the delivery, and the person says, but he says it differently, yeah? Because if you are in an English-speaking country, you will hear, where shall I send it to? Because this preposition to belongs to the verb, not to this question word, okay? That's why we will move it here. We will remove it from here. And we will say, where shall I send it to? It is very informal English, and written English. We don't like to finish the sentence with the preposition, but it's becoming more and more popular in spoken English. And for example, in American English, you hear such questions and sentences all the time. You just keep the preposition next to the verb it belongs to. Next to the verb it belongs to. Okay? And we will learn how to do that in one of the next videos, yeah? In one of the next lessons. So this is a list of the most typical problems people have with the prepositions after verbs. And now I'm going to teach you how to use them without any mistakes. Hello guys. Today I would like to talk to you about one very big mistake which is now becoming epidemic in English writing. This is really true, I'm not exaggerating. I read articles, emails, blog posts every day, and I see that even native speakers are not very sure about the use of apostrophe in English language. And I wanted to give you a lesson about these structures, difference between it's with the apostrophe or not, and also we will talk about this let's, which is also very often misspelled. And well, it's an easy mistake because we all feel confused about this apostrophe, but let's learn it, yeah? And don't do this mistake ever again. Let's have a look. Well, you probably know that there are two different structures, yeah? You can see it's with the apostrophe, you can see it's without the apostrophe, and how to use them correctly. Apostrophe always means the sound which is not pronounced, meaning apostrophe can only appear in the form when somebody doesn't say something. So for example, when I say he doesn't, well, initially I had this does not, and then apostrophe covered this missing O, and because of that we now write it together. Yeah, so he doesn't, this means the apostrophe stands for the missing sound. And this is very logical to understand that if you see the apostrophe here, it also means some missing sound which we don't pronounce, meaning that this S is actually a part of some word. Yeah? That's why this contraction to S can come from two different words. It can be it is. For example, it's sunny. Or it can also stand for has. So it has. For example, this is very, very, very big question for English learners. When we see this phrase, what's happened? Yeah, about the finished action. What's going on? What's just happened? Many English learners think it is, but it's not is. Look at the structure. It's the third form of the verb, meaning that it's what tense? It's present perfect. And if it's present perfect, this S stands for has. So when you are asking about some finished action, you will say, what has happened? And to make it faster, to pronounce it faster, it will become what's happened. But it is not is. Well, is will be possible for structures with, I don't know, with adjectives, for example, it's sunny, yes. What's going on? Yeah, this is possible. What's going on? Yeah, and in this case, yeah, this is in form, this is continuous. This means that it is. What is going on? What's going on? What's happened? What has happened? And if you see this it's, yeah, you need to use an adjective after that. For example, it's strange, it's important, it's interesting, and so on and so on. But we also have this it's as a possessive adjective for the pronoun it. So you have it, and when something belongs to it, we say its. For example, look at my cat and its, I don't know what does the cat have. So and its paw, yeah, for example. When you have an owner, which is not a person, which is it, yeah, for example, it will be its, belonging to it. The same way you say, for example, I, mine, yeah, so this is my car. This is a possessive adjective for I, and its is a possessive adjective for it. For example, look at this book. What is its color? Book, it is it. So what is its color. Here, my S, it is contracted is, what is, but here it's belonging of the color, and that's why I don't use apostrophe here. And that's very important because I see on Facebook, in blogs, everywhere, people put the apostrophe here in this possessive adjective, and this is a mistake. Now, this is the real example. To learn more about its functions. The person is talking about an app, yeah? Its functions, app's functions. Do we need an apostrophe here? No, you are absolutely right. We don't need it here. So, for example, I can say it's an app. Yeah, it is. But to learn more about its functions without any apostrophe. And in the similar way, we have this verb let. Let, which uses this function, yeah, the functional phrase let us. When you suggest somebody to do something, yeah, for example, let's go to the theater, let's go to the cinema, let's have pizza for dinner tonight, yeah. You mean here again, it means let us. And when you don't pronounce this it is covered with the apostrophe when it is let us. But also, for example, the verb let, to allow, when you use it in present simple, you add s in the third person. He lets us play in his garden. She lets us, I don't know, get together, yeah, in her house, and so on and so on. It will be he, she, it, yeah, the form of the verb in present simple. And again, it's just the ending of the verb. It doesn't mean any missing sound. There is no need to put an apostrophe here. For example, yeah, let's write it down. Yeah, he lets us play in his garden. And I hope you guys remember that this let is a very interesting combination because here we say it without to. Sometimes people try to say he lets us to play. No, we use it with let, make, and have. Without to. He lets us do something. He lets us play. And again, let's look at this example. This app lets you work with. Is it a correct example? What do you think? Is it this app let us? No, of course it is not. And it's a real example. Again, the guys, be very careful about them. So this is just a verb in present simple form because, yes, it goes after app, it. So this app lets you work without any apostrophe. Right now, I will show you several pictures. Look at these examples. Think, is it correct sentence or is it an incorrect sentence? And please remember that the apostrophe always stands for the missing sound. And there are S endings and there are apostrophe S for words which sounds are not pronounced. I hope it's clear now. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. And thank you very much for watching.